This morning, I want to again talk about communication. So let's see what James says. James chapter 1 verse 19 says, and this is from the King James Version. Wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. Okay, you see that's the King James Version. All right. So what I want to talk about is on the last video that I talked about communication, I talked about if you're having a conversation that both parties need to listen, like one person talk and then the next person talk. So let's go a step further than that. So when we are communicating with one another, we should really think about what we say before we say it. Like listen intently. Don't listen to just make your point across. Don't listen and don't talk just for that one purpose. But be careful of what you say, because once you say something in the back and forth, once you say something, you can apologize until Jesus come back, but you can't take it back. And so oftentimes people say, well, I was just angry. It was just in the heat of the moment and I was angry and I said stuff I didn't mean. But this is why the Bible says to be slow to speak, to be quick to listen, because sometimes we're talking so fast and we're explaining ourselves and we're trying to get our point across, and I know I'm right, and if you just listen to me, you're gonna listen. This is the thing about all that. You may be right. You may be right, but the tongue can be so damaging, and it can tear. People can say something to you. Think about the things that people have said to you that it took you a long time to get over, and how damaging that was to how you saw that person, how you view that person. You don't want to say something that you can't take back to somebody that you love, and it damaged your relationship. Look, we only have but a few years on this earth, a few days. The Bible says that life is like a vapor. And so you don't want to say something to somebody that you can't come back, and that's what they remember you for. Out of all the good things that you've done, out of all the many times that you have had good conversations, laughter, and showed love, that one thing that you say in the middle of that argument can erase all of that. Now, it's true that if you ask for forgiveness, people should forgive you. But and I know people say you should forgive and forget. But I'm telling you, it's so hard for people to forget, even if they forgive you. And their view of you is different. So when you're communicating with anyone, there's a way to say anything that you need to say. And there's a time to say it. See, sometimes we mess up because we say things in the middle of the conversation, in the middle of the argument. It's gone too far, right? So if you step back and you let them speak and you listen intently, then while you're listening, you're processing what you need to say, right? Sometimes in the middle of a conversation and things start getting hit, I get very quiet. And a lot of times the people around me don't understand. So I'm thinking, okay, what I'm saying is not getting through to this person. Because when you're arguing, you're not getting through to each other. So when I get very quiet, the purpose of that is because I know right now they've gotten too upset. They can't hear anything that I'm saying. And I'm allowing myself to get too upset. And so I can't hear and I can't really relate to anything they're saying because you're too upset. So if you get quiet and you allow them to rant and rave, whether it's 5 minutes or 15 minutes, just let them get it all out. Just let them get it all out. And then once the dust has settled, and maybe you can go back and address it either in that moment or in another moment when it's time where they can actually hear you and know that you're not trying to hurt you. Because that's what it is. A lot of times people have their guard up. And so as soon as you say something to them that may be helpful, that's corrective, but may be helpful and may help them in the long run, they can't see it right now because all their life they've had to fight. It's kind of like On the Color Purple. All my life I had to fight. But girl, child, I didn't think I'd have to fight out in my own home, right? So when you're dealing with people, you got to understand that, number one, like the Bible said, it's not the person. In that moment, it's not the person. It's the spirit that's living on the inside of them. So if that spirit has them confused and they're ranting and raving and they've gone across the line where they're cussing you out and they've gotten so loud that the whole room or the whole neighborhood can hear, just let them talk. Because you're not going to get anything through. No matter how well you can speak, no matter how well you communicate, no matter how soft you're not going to get anything through at that moment. So the Bible says we have to be wise as serpents, but we have to be tender or soft as a dove, right? So in other words, yes, you've got to show compassion. You got to show love, and you got to have some wisdom of what you're doing, what you're saying, how you're saying, and when you're saying. Because again, like I started to say, sometimes I get a little bit off subject, but like I started to say earlier, one of the things that we have to remember is people have triggers, just like you as an individual, me as an individual have triggers. Everybody have triggers. And the thing that you don't want to do is to ignite that trigger. Because if you're trying to help that person, igniting the trigger, and it becomes explosive, you're not helping anybody. You're not helping each other in the communicating, and you're not helping the people that are around you. Because believe it or not, people, I don't care what your influence is or what you think your influence is, it's probably greater than you think. Because there's somebody there looking at you and saying, that's who I want to be like. I'm going to mark that person. The Bible says mark the righteous person and follow him, right? But there's somebody that's marking you and following after you, how you handle things. So if you blow up, if you can't have patience, if every time you talk to somebody, you just want to be the loudest, you want to be the one that has the center of attention, then that's what they're going to follow. And just like it gives you, the individual that's doing this, just like it gives that person, that type of person that communicate that way, just like it gives them some hard times, some difficult times, it's going to do the same thing for them. So when we're communicating, when we're talking to people, when we're trying to get our point across, and especially when we're trying to help somebody, and it's somebody that we care about, or we're in a work environment, maybe you're on a church committee, whatever you are. Because the thing is, you're going to take your communicating style everywhere you go. And so when you're doing those things, you're influencing other people. And then that is the thing that you don't want to do. You don't want to hurt people. You don't want to damage people. but you also don't want to influence anyone else in the wrong direction. Because especially as a follower of Jesus Christ, we should be amplifying the way God communicate. Now, it doesn't mean that you're going to allow people to run over you, but always remember, there's a time, there's a place, and there's a way to say anything that you need to say. I tell people, like, I'm a manager on my job, but I try to be a leader because there's a difference between being a manager and a leader. So I try to be both at the same time. And so this is what I have to do oftentimes in the middle of, because when you're working with people and you work with people 10, 12 hours a day, you're spending all this time with them, and there's going to be disagreements. But like I said, the people that's above me that I have to answer to, listen, you can tell me anything that you need to. I don't have, I used to wear my feelings on my shoulders, on my sleeves, as we used to say. I used to do that, but I don't do that anymore. So you can tell me whatever you need to tell me. However, there is a way to tell me. Like, you're not going to sit up here and curse me out and belittle me and do all those things and think that I'm not going to react, because now you've got me, my back is up against the wall, and I might come out and I may say some things. But the thing is, that's what communication is. I'm telling them, I'm giving them the keys. Listen, tell me whatever you got to tell me. You don't even have to say it in a soft way, but I don't curse, so don't you curse me out. We have to understand that when we're communicating with people, we have to give clear instructions, right? We have to give clear instructions. And because the way you communicate, you're telling people that's the way you want them to communicate with you. So if you want people to curse you out, belittle you, talk down to you, make you feel like there's nothing that you can do that's good, make you feel like your opinion don't count, then that's what you do to other people. But if that's not what you want to do, then you show love and kindness when you talk. You show respect when you talk. Showing respect and love and kindness is not a weakness. It's actually a strength. And we have to really, really understand what communication is, what it does, what it can do. Because most likely, out of all that you accomplish in the world, what people are going to remember about you is how you made them feel. Did you make them feel like they can do anything in the world, like they can accomplish everything? Did you show them, help them find their strengths that you can see that they couldn't see? Or were you so jealous and petty that you tried to diminish them? All these things come through communication. And so what I'm saying is, be careful and be mindful of what you say, when you say it, and how you say it. Because remember this, at the end of the day, we all reap what we sow. We all want love. We all want respect. And so we should give that in the way we communicate. We should give that rather than the other. Anyway, this has been EB3 speaking the truth in love. Be blessed, be a blessing. And let me get ready to go to work. I'm always telling y'all, I'm about to be late again for work. But anyway, let's be mindful. Remember what James said. What did he say? Be slow to speak, quick to listen, and slow to anger. Anger or wrath. You can, either way. It just depends on which version you listen to or read. Anyway, be blessed, be a blessing, and I am out.